If you're about to send a proposal, you're probably agonizing over one number. I did that for years. Picked a number, second guessed it, sent it anyway. Then refreshed my email like crazy for 3 days, 3 weeks, sometimes even longer, waiting for a reply. Now I send three numbers instead of one. And 9 times out of 10, the client doesn't pick the cheapest option. So stick around and I'll show you the exact three tiers I use, what's in each one, real numbers, and what I do when somebody wants the top tier on a bottom tier budget. I'm Rocky Rourke, and I've been a brand designer for over 20 years. I built a studio up to a team of 5 designers, lost most of it, and rebuilt it as a one-person shop. So most of what I talk about here, I've learned the expensive way, and pricing is where I've probably made the most expensive mistakes. So let's talk about what actually happens to a single price after you hit send. You think you're sending a proposal, what lands is a number. They open it, look at that number, and close it. Maybe they forward it to somebody who wasn't on the call. Now a person who's never met you is reading one figure with no context. But most of the time, it's simpler than that. It just goes into the pile. And now your number is sitting next to two or three other numbers from two or three other designers and agencies. Nobody's evaluating you at this point. They're comparing prices because price is the only thing on the page that's easy to compare. Now, here's what convinced me. Earlier this year, I sent out 3 proposals for 3 completely different projects with one clear price on each of them. I lost all 3. Shocker, I know. But on the fourth one, I changed the format. 3 tiers laid out so they could see exactly what each one got them. They chose the premium option. Same designer, same work, same market, same month. The only thing that changed was the format. And here's the part that kind of stings pretty hard to me. I used to do this same thing. I used 3 tiers for years. It was how I built every proposal I sent. Then I watched a video where somebody very confidently explained that multiple option confuses clients and that you should always give one clear price. But I stopped doing that thing, the thing that worked, because a stranger sounded so sure. And you're probably thinking, well, why am I listening to him? Well, you don't have to listen to me. You can watch me and you can agree with me, disagree with me. That's totally fine. But it was never a pricing problem. It was a format problem that I basically kind of created myself. 3 options move the comparison inside of your proposal rather than outside. They're not weighing you against 2 other designers anymore. Of course, they very well could be. They're weighing your options against each other, and all 3 of those options are yours. There's a second thing happening here that nobody really talks about as well. Before they've seen a single piece of work from you, that proposal has already told them what you're like to work with. One number says, take it or leave it. It's absolute. 3 options says, I've thought about it. I've thought about where you actually are. And there's a version of this that fits. That's the first proof that they get that you're flexible and that you're not going to be rigid about everything else either. One number invites comparison. 3 numbers invite decision. My first job on a discovery call with a potential client isn't about pricing. It's working out where they are in a brand's life cycle because that determines everything that goes into the proposal. Most of my work is with branding B2B SaaS companies. And after enough of these over the years, you start to notice that they land in one of 3 places. Uh, First one, 0 to 1. They're still figuring out, what they are. They don't need a full system yet. They need something that is enough to look legitimate and start moving forward. Then there's the company that already has a presence and has found product market fit. They need a real visual identity, one built to expand as they grow into it. And finally, there's the business hitting critical mass. They're adding new products, channels, and people. They need a full brand system that holds up under all of that massive weight. That's the roadmap. And it's roughly the same three stages every single time. That works for branding, web, product, illustration, you name it. The language shifts depending on who I'm talking to, but the shape generally holds up. Here's the part that really matters here. The roadmap goes into the proposal with no prices on it at all. It's kind of like a diagnostic showing them a roadmap. It's not a menu. Its only job is to orient them. Here's the arc. Here's where I think you are, and here's what's ahead of you. The second you put dollar figures on that, it stops being a diagnosis and they start shopping stages instead of locating themselves. If they've told me on the call that they see themselves somewhere different from where I have placed them, I put that in the proposal too, in their words. So the stage determines the deliverable. 0 to 1 gets a minimal viable brand. And mind you, all of these are my own, kind of stages here. Growth stage gets a visual identity. Scale stage gets a full brand system. Now, let me put some rough numbers on this, and I want to be very careful here when I say this. What I'm about to say are illustrative figures to show you the shape of it. They are not my rate card, they're not my pricing. Pricing moves with scope, timeline, market, and where I am in my own year. And I've got 20 years behind me that factor into all of this. So do not copy my numbers. Copy the structure and go build your own. So broadly, a minimal viable brand sits somewhere around seven and a half thousand or seven, yeah, $7,500, $7,500. A visual identity around about 12,000, give or take, and then a full brand system around 20. But those aren't the three options. Those are three different engagements for three different companies. The three options live inside of whichever container, whichever one that they've kind of landed on. So let's say a growth stage company comes to me needing a visual identity. Here's what that menu looks like underneath the roadmap. We have three tiers. We have economy, 8,000, maybe 6 weeks limited scope. Then we have standard, about 10,000, 6 weeks expanded scope. And then we have premium, 15,000 expanded scope, and it's done in 4 weeks instead of 6. Now, notice what's happening at each of at the top of this. Premium isn't just more, it's also faster. That's deliberate. Speed is worth paying for, and most designers never put a price on it. They'll work nights to hit a date and then charge the same as if it took twice as long. And here's the part that kind of like surprised me. Almost nobody takes the cheapest option. 9 times out of 10, I say that a lot actually now I think about it, but 9 times out of 10, they skip straight past it. And between the middle and the top tier, it comes to basically a coin flip at that point. It's roughly 50-50. The bottom option is doing real work here. So you don't want to just like get rid of it. It's just not the work of getting bought. It's what makes 10 and 15 feel like a choice instead of a demand. So you send the three options and now you get the call as my dog shakes. They want premium. Great, perfect. But there's a problem. You can guess it. I'll give you a moment. You can probably guess it. They have an economy budget. And everything in you wants to meet them somewhere in the middle. Split the difference, take what you can, get the work started. Don't do that. Please do not do that. The second you drop the price for nothing, you've told them the first number was completely made up. It's fake. It's fantasy. And they're right to think that. If you could do it for less, why wasn't it less to begin with? Now, every number that you give them for the rest of the relationship is an opening offer, and you're the one who've taught them that behavior. So the first thing I try is moving the scope instead of the price. A founder came to me a while back completely ready to pay, ready to sign, ready to get started. And the more we talked, the more obvious it became that she wasn't ready. Barely any barely any revenue, and the work would honestly have been sharper with proof that she couldn't really gather yet. So I told her to spend nothing. Do a free first phase, document everything as she went, lean on the beta client that she had already signed up, and pay me when the first real dollars came in. I gave up a deposit that day. That's very hard, especially in this economy. And the truth is, I kept the relationship and I kept my number. But sometimes scope isn't the issue. Sometimes 12,000 is the ceiling on a $15,000 project, and no amount of reshaping the work changes that. That's totally fine. The number can still move. It just can't move for free. So you trade their price for your terms. If they need to be at 12 on a $15,000 project, then I need the full amount up front. Or I need a deposit inside of 3 business days to lock it in. Or we're pulling 2 things out of the scope. Or, lots of ors here, it takes 5 weeks instead of 4 because now it's fitting around everything else. Any one of those works. What matters is that something came back the other way. And say it out loud when you do it. This isn't a discount. This is a trade. I don't normally do this, and here's what I need in return. That sentence does 2 things. It protects the number for every future conversation, and it tells them exactly what kind of person they just hired. A discount teaches them your price was never real. A trade teaches them it was. So 3 things you can actually do with this. First, and this is the smallest one before your next proposal goes out, write down the 3 stages your clients move through. Just the 3, no prices, no scope, no deliverables. That's kind of like your roadmap. It's the piece that almost nobody has. Once it exists, you'll never send a naked number again because you'll be able to see exactly where that person you're talking to is standing. Second, rebuild your proposal. Take the last one you sent with a single number on it, open it back up, and make sure that the roadmap is on top, no prices, then 3 options underneath built for the stage that they're actually in. And that's where you put the prices. And if you can't look at those 3 and know which one you'd want them to pick, you don't have options yet. You have discounts with extra steps. And then finally, third, and this is the one I've kind of like practiced out loud. Next time somebody asks for a lower number, don't answer straight away. Take the pause, then say, I can get there, and here's what I need in return. That's the whole sentence. Say it a few times before you need it, because in that moment, you will absolutely want to just say yes. A discount is something you give away. A trade is something you negotiate. Same number, completely different relationship afterwards. So I'm curious where you stand on this. Drop a comment and tell me how you're sending proposals right now. One number, or are you sharing options? And if you've tried tiers before and they didn't work for you, I want to hear about it too. I try to read every single one of my comments and I try to respond to every single person. And if you're a freelancer and want more of this, subscribe. That's what my channel is all about. But thank you all so much. And always remember to stay passionate, stay positive, stay creative. That's it for me. Bye.